Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Audit Committee to order, please. Are there any public speakers? Edmund, who's handling this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have three members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Jason Anthony, followed by Christopher Greif.
Good afternoon, David, and the rest of the other committee members. Uh, let's not forget to do audits regarding accessibility because we want to know where is the money being spent in projects like where's the money been spent in accessibility projects like what money is being spent in elevator projects, what money is being spent in let's say in a ramp, in escalator replacement, and things of that nature. In other words, I'm not criticizing the agency in anything of that nature. That's two agencies across the Hudson. Uh, they don't want to show transparency. That's our department that we show transparency. But for the record, we want to see the numbers of what are we spending in terms of accessibility. So that will be all for today. I'll see you guys on Wednesday virtually.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Christopher Greif, followed by Maddie Bucky's Highland.
Good afternoon. It's almost good evening, almost. As Christopher D. Graff, advocate for person with disability. I've been reading your audits online because reading on a book is a little hard. The question I do have, and I hope we can, because I like to support audits and stuff, because I deal with the Office of People with Disabilities for the Advisory Council for many years, and what I'm trying to advocate to prove our elected officials, we do hire people with disabilities. We do have percentage of numbers and stuff. So I hope in somewhere in a book or somewhere on a computer email or something to see better, how many people will we be hiring for people with disabilities? And I'm not talking about, I'm trying to understand the audit stuff because a lot of us now, and as we celebrate Disability Pride Month, want to make sure that people know that MTA does hire people with disabilities, and that's including our veterans as well. And I'd like to make sure how, as an advocate, to support that strongly and always advocate. Because you guys always hire lots of people with disabilities, lots of people who are veterans, and who are like to join the dream of being in the MTA world. And I always want to keep that advocating. So to everyone here, happy Disability Pride Month, and have a great evening, because now it's coming to that evening time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next and last speaker is Maddie Bucky's Highland.
You got that right, sir. You got that right, sir. Here, looks like I'm the one to close. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. I'm going to speak very briefly on the audit today. I'm curious if the Metropolitan Transportation Authority does an a comprehensive annual financial report where its audits have been completed, for example. But I really hope to attend a meeting one day in person and meet all the advocates. Some of them have been here since 8 o'clock this morning. I've been home all day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, with that being said, I hope everyone has a great evening. I will see you all on Wednesday, and please enjoy the rest of your summer. God bless you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the public speakers.
Thank you, Nathan. Because we don't have a quorum, we will table the vote on the minutes and any other votes that we take here until the next formal audit committee meeting. So essentially what we're going to be doing is recommending, after hearing from the various audit issues, and then recommending that to the next board meeting and audit committee meeting. Monica, are there any changes to the work plan?
No changes.
Okay. Okay, first we have an independent accounting firm with 5 items that will require a vote, though we've just said this will be more of a recommendation. We'll take at least 5, not votes, recommendations at the conclusion of their presentation. Jill Strohmeyer, the managing director, will begin with a presentation on the results of the review of the first quarter 2024 MTA consolidated interim financial statements. The financial statements will be issued in a final form after the audit committee review and approval. Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually going to pass the first quarter presentation to my colleague to my left, Kostas Makrakis.
Okay.
Good afternoon. As you are aware, I took over from Jill, my colleague Jill Strohmeyer, as the Deloitte lead client service partner. I will sign off all Deloitte reports to be issued in relation with the 2024 financial year. And oversee the engagement team, which is going to be substantially the same as in prior year. Please, to the members of the audit committee and management, please feel free to connect with me anytime for whatever matter you wish to discuss or bring to my attention. The first report to be issued is for the review of MTA's interim consolidated financial statements as of and for the 3-month period ended March 31st, 2024. For a brief status, we are in the process of completing our quarterly review procedures. A review of interim financial information consists primarily of analytical procedures and making inquiries of those responsible for financial and accounting matters, and of course for those responsible for preparing the financial statements. A review is substantially less in scope than an audit. The objective of an audit is to express an opinion on the financial statements. Accordingly, we do not express such an opinion after our review. Based on the review procedures performed at this time, we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to interim consolidated financial statements in order for them to be in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the U.S. And that concludes our remarks with regards to quarterly financial statements.
That's very difficult. Any questions? Now I hear it in large. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. And that goes to the, next we're going to have Jim McGovern, MTA Deputy Controller, to provide management's review of the 2023 employee benefit financial statements, including a discussion on management's analysis and the required supplementary information to the financial statements. Jim?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to give you more of an overview, right, versus going through each one of the financial statements individually. Okay. So the attached list of the list that you see for the 6 plans are the MTA benefit plans. 4 of the 6 are pension plans. The first 4 are pension plans, defined benefit plans. Of those plans, numbers 3 and 4 are frozen plans, the Long Island Railroad additional plan and the Metro North commuter cash balance plan. MTA employees also participate in the NICE-LERS and NICERS plan, which is footnoted below, and the number of participants are indicated below. The financial statements for the plans, there's basically 4 sections for the financial statements. The MD&A, the statement of fiduciary net position, which is the balance sheet, the statement of changes in fiduciary net position, which is the income statement, notes to the financial statements, and required supplementary information, which is additional information regarding the pension plan liabilities and the OPEB plan liabilities. This is really the key slide to focus on. What I would just show you is that of the 6 plans, the second column from the right, the funded ratios, indicate liability versus the contributions that the plans have made to the liabilities. Generally speaking, the plans are funded more than adequately relative to the rest of the country. Obviously, the cash balance plan being the smallest and inactive is the highest of that one. And NICE-LERS and NICE-LERS, I always confuse it, NICERS and NICE-LERS. Don't ask me to say it twice. Our percentage is indicated on numbers 5 and 6 as our percentage of participation. So the MTA employees in NICE-LERS is about 0.30%, and in the NICERS, our participation is about 22%, indicating the high level of New York City Transit employees participating in that plan. The only highlight I could want to bring up really is for the OPEB plan. During the year, we transferred $1.3 billion of assets from MTA HQ to fund the OPEB plan. Those assets will be used to pay off fringe benefit plan expenses in the near future. That's really, I think, my presentation today. If there's any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions from members of the committee? That's why they don't let me chair very often. None? Okay. And to continue the discussion on the pension plans, I guess Costas will discuss results of the audit of the various pension plans at this point.
No, this actually Jill is going to discuss this because it relates to the 2023. Sorry for that.
My final 2023 reporting here,
Okay.
so a couple of final agenda items. So yes, Deloitte is in the process of completing our audits of the 2023 MTA employee benefit plans for your 6 plans Jim just mentioned. We have performed those audits in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. We are not aware of any significant changes in previously adopted accounting policies or their application during 2023. So the financial statements are in line and comparative to prior years' reporting. We are not aware of any significant changes in accounting estimates or in management's judgments relating to those estimates. Key estimates include discount rate used by actuaries, investment valuation. There are no uncorrected misstatements or disclosure items passed during our audits that we need to bring to the attention of this committee. We had the full cooperation of management and staff throughout the performance of our audit, and we had no disagreements with management during the performance of our audit. So we're, again, a few final procedures that we're performing to conclude our audits. Once those have been completed, we'll be in a position to issue a clean, unmodified opinion on these 6 plans. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the audits of the plans.
Thank you, Jill. Are there any questions by the members? Okay. Next, we have Jill. Okay. We'll provide the results of their federal and state mandated single audit of the MTA and New York City Transit.
All right, thank you. We're also in the process of completing our federal and New York State single audits for the year ended December 31, 2023. Deloitte's efforts are really led by Darshan Patel, who's my senior manager to the right. Just a little background on the single audit. MTA had a total of $2.1 billion in federal expenditures during 2023, which covered various grant programs. As part of our federal single audit, we selected 4 of the MTA's grant programs this year for testing. The programs we selected included the FTA cluster, the Public Transportation Emergency Relief Fund, Federal State Partnership grant, as well as one Department of Homeland Security grant. I will say by us selecting the FTA grant, that covers right away 82% of total federal dollars expended during 2023. We did have one finding to note during our audit this year. There are 3 levels of severity when it comes to findings. A material weakness being the highest severity, significant deficiency is in the middle, and then there's a low-level finding. We had one low-level finding this year, and it related to the Department of Homeland Security grant that we tested. It had to do with procurement. There was one instance where the MTA had a subrecipient, so passed funding down to another organization, and the contract that was written between the MTA and this other organization is required to have certain elements, 13 elements to be exact, and some of those elements were missing. Not considered to be critical, but just something to alert management. We have been informed that there is a process in place to correct this moving forward. Our report over internal control, which is also issued as a part of the single audit, did not include any findings this year. So a clean opinion on what we call our Yellow Book report. Moving to the state single audit, the MTA had a total of $187 million in New York State expenditures during 2023, related all to one program, the statewide Mass Transportation Operating Assistance Program. We selected that one program for testing. We have no findings, rather compliance or internal control related based on our audit procedure. So clean opinion on the state work as well. With that, that concludes my prepared remarks related to your federal and state single audits for 2023. Any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
Committee? Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're going to do the management letter. Jill, again,
I will do that.
will now provide a brief statement of the management letter reports and answer any questions if they arise.
All right. In your package that you have for today's meeting, there's a management letter comment related to our 2023 audits, which we issued in June. Again, there are 3 levels of severity of internal control deficiencies, as I mentioned: material weakness, significant deficiency, and then a low-level deficiency. All of the comments in this report, but 2 relate to the lowest level severity, a low-level D. 2 of the comments were considered to be a significant deficiency because we do believe it's important to highlight these 2 deficiencies to this committee. The one significant deficiency related to the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority. It related to controls over classification of long-term debt or bonds payable. During the course of our 2023 audit, we noted an instance where debt was classified as non-current or long-term when it should have been classified as current. Management did make this correction before the issuance of the financial statements in June, but just wanted to highlight this matter to the committee. New York City Transit Authority and CERTOA had the same significant deficiency, so I'll just mention it once. But it related to controls over recording capital assets. Essentially, there were balances both at the Transit Authority and CERTOA that were originally recorded as a receivable on the financial statements when they should have been recorded as construction work in progress. Again, these matters were corrected prior to the issuance of the financial statements in June, but wanted to highlight that to you.
Okay. Any questions from You have a, okay, go ahead.
Jill,
Yep.
just if you could clarify on the TBTA debt. So the total amount of debt was recorded or presented on the balance sheet. It was just some of the debt was classified as long-term when it should have been short-term, which is, I guess, over a year or under a year. Is
That's
that, so
That-
there wasn't debt missing from our balance sheet, just classification of it.
Absolutely right, Kevin. This was absolutely classification. The total amount of liabilities recorded by management was correct. It was just classification between long-term and short-term. Debt that matures within 1 year of December 31 should be classified as current on the balance sheet. When we originally reviewed debt during our test work, the entire balance was recorded as long-term. Management acknowledged that that shouldn't be the case, and so they made a correcting entry to move approximately $600 million to current prior to the issuance of the financial statements, but no debt was missing
Thank you.
at all.
Okay, any further questions by the committee? Okay, let's move on to the final item from Deloitte. And Jill will brief the committee on the results of their review of the MTA Inspector General's 2023 office operations and expenses based upon agreed upon audit procedures.
Yes.
Jill?
Thank you. So Deloitte has performed our agreed upon procedures as prescribed to us by the MTA and the Office of the Inspector General of the MTA related to budget accountability for the year ended December 31, 2023. There were 14 procedures in total. These procedures primarily consist of us looking at employee information, payroll information, and vouching that type of information back to source documents, reviewing disbursements journals, reviewing petty cash vouchers, making sure that approvals were obtained and that they're evidenced on the documentation. As a result of performing these 14 procedures, we have no significant exceptions to report to this committee, so a clean report.
Thank you, Jill. Again, anything by the members of the committee? Now we're going to enter a sort of netherworld because we don't have a quorum. So I've been advised we're going to be recommending back to the full audit committee that these individual reports be accepted. And this will be the first quarter 2024 consolidated financial statements, the pension audits, the single audit report, the management letter report, and the recommendations of the MTA Inspector General's office.
So those will be voted on Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. So we have to say we recommend.
I recommend.
I thought because of the lateness of the hour, I thought we'd definitely get a recommendation. Okay. And second, and all in favor, recommending the reports are accepted and will be moved to the full board for a vote. Okay, next we have Amon Kirs, the MTA Chief Compliance Officer, who will brief the committee on selected aspects of the Enterprise Risk Management Program, the Ethics and Compliance Program, and the Financial Interest Reports. Amon will give a brief update on the implementation status of prior audit recommendations. Amon?
Brief, okay.
Yes, very brief.
Very brief, okay. So the update on the Enterprise Risk Management Program is in your book. I won't go through it on presentation. Just let you know we are moving forward. We have conducted risk assessments of all the various business functions within the MTA. We are now in the process of testing internal controls, and we will come back to the committee with a report on the results of that later on. We also included in the book a status report on remediation plans. I will say that basically things are static, which is a good thing because we brought them down to a really manageable level, as you mentioned at the last meeting. There has been no increase. It's pretty steady. Opening and closings are going well. So there's really nothing significant to report on that respect. Okay. I'm going to combine the next two, which is the ethics presentation and the financial disclosure. I'm going to try to combine those into one and make it very, very brief because I know everyone loves to talk about ethics and compliance at almost 5 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, right? Okay. So the most exciting thing in this presentation is that our ethics and compliance program will turn 20 years old this year. We opened our doors, literally opened our doors, on September of 2004. We have outlasted most New York City restaurants in terms of our survival, so we're doing well. Within less than a few months of starting the program, as you know, we adopted the MTA's first code of ethics, and the New York Times actually had something nice to say about us in adopting our code of ethics. I think 2005 was maybe the last nice thing they said about us in ethics, but they did mention us in a good light.
Have you got a comment by the Supreme Court?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. The key to the program was building trust, making sure employees understood that they could come to us if they had any issues, any problems, that we were there to help, and to seek that guidance before they engage in conduct that might cause them to have issues. Last year, there were a couple of significant things I want to mention real quick. Obviously, we revised both the MTA employee and the board member code of ethics. We established a new conflict of interest policy regarding outside activities. And I'm very proud to say that we received the Beacon Award from the Business Ethics Leadership Alliance, which is a global organization of 370 of the world's most ethical companies. And they recognized our program in terms of our contribution to global ethics and compliance. So we were very excited about that. Thank you. It was a lot of hard work from the staff, both past and present. So let's talk real quickly about what we did. Last year, we handled over 3,000 ethics and compliance matters. It's broken down by various sources. A lot of things come in through our electronic online system. We also get a lot of emails as well. We had a slight uptick in the number of calls that we got on the ethics helpline over prior years. Most of what we're getting are still inquiries versus issues, which is really great. People are coming to us before they make the mistakes versus, coming to us after the fact saying, "Can you help me?" Numerous categories. I won't go into all of them. The other thing that's important, I think, in terms of the program is how many, when people come to us, do they feel comfortable telling us who they are, right? And as you can see from this, almost 100% of people who reach out to us tell us who they are, right? Now, the number does drop a little bit when you're talking about issues, but if you look at that, 97% of people who contact us because they did something they probably shouldn't have done still identify who they are. Yes. Sure.
Of course.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the 3,000 are people who contacted you with issues?
The 3,000 are matters that we handled, so those would be both issues and inquiries. So they're both of those things combined on the prior slide, issues and inquiries. We break it into those two categories.
So it increased by almost threefold, from 1,000 something to 3. Did I read that correctly?
Let me go back. Percentage.
No, back.
One more.
No, one more. That one. Oh, decreased. Okay.
2023 is the top. 2024 is where we are now. You're welcome. And then the help, even when they call the helpline, when they don't have, and we tell everyone you don't have to identify yourself when you call the helpline, still the majority of people do identify who they are. At a recent conference in Washington of compliance professionals, a member of a Fortune 500 company complimented us on the fact that our employees feel so comfortable with the compliance program that they're willing to identify themselves. So we're very happy about that. Conflict of interest types, many different types, outside activities, family relationships, we're dealing with those. Resolutions, we do recusals, sometimes we don't have to do anything. We are managing conflicts of interest across the MTA. We also handled the outside activities that I mentioned before. 528 outside activity requests were vetted by our department in 2023. Ethics training, we continue to do training across the board, both for the board members and our employees. We trained 4,500 employees in ethics last year. And we continue to work on communication because communication is key to make sure that they understand what the requirements are, but more importantly, to understand that they can come to us if they have any issues or concerns. So I'll stop at that and answer any questions. Hopefully that was brief enough.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alderman.
Okay.
Any questions? Any further questions?
The trainings are mandated for all employees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Last, we have Monica Murray, the MTA Auditor General, to brief the committee on the status of the 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we have an update on the work performed by MTA Audit Services, I want to extend my thanks to the Chair for entrusting me with the leadership of the Audit Department. Spending the last 2 months with the audit team, I appreciate their exceptional professionalism and dedication. A special thanks to Darren Jurgens, Phyllis Richardson, and Judy Beckford for their guidance and support. Their deep knowledge and willingness to assist have been instrumental in my transition. I also want to express my appreciation to this committee for your support. I eagerly anticipate collaborating with all of you to achieve meaningful results. We have a full presentation in the book for your review, but I just wanted to touch on a few today. As a result of our audits, we have recommendations that will help the organization to ensure that engineering and TA labor charges are monitored to avoid or respond to overruns, and force account charges are collected. We're making sure revenue equipment is properly maintained and functioning to receive revenue before going into service, determine Omni pay-as-you-go transactions are correctly captured as revenue and received, ascertain paratransit charges billed by brokers are correct, allowable, and supported, and ensure the inspection and maintenance of power substations and manholes with cables are performed consistently and timely. Finally, our contract group has worked on cost proposal support for sole source procurements and construction impact claims that have helped us find savings in those areas. We have more details in the book, but those are our highlights for our mid-year review.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica. We're going to entertain a motion to adjourn, but before we do that, I want, on behalf of the committee, I wanted to acknowledge Jill. Jill will be, as we've heard from Costas, and Jill will be moving off the MTA accounts, and Costas will be taking over. We want to thank Jill for her responsiveness and leadership and insight into the MTA financial reporting. We look forward to our continued work with you, Costas. And now, much to the relief of everyone, we'll entertain a motion for, we have to clap. I missed that. They didn't put that down in my notes. But we do thank you and look forward to working with Costas. Now we'll need a motion for the audit committee to adjourn.
Motion.
I second. I don't know if I can do that. This is a vote, I guess. And that concludes the audit committee. Thank you very much.